A regular meeting of the City Council was held in person on Thursday, March 26, 2026, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on March 24th, 2026 at 1:56 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and is live on SATV and Zoom unless technological issues interrupt the transmission. Councilors absent? None. Council President Merkel presiding. Councilor King moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. I now request that everyone who is able, please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Hepworth.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Salem City Council honors that this land is Namkeg, or fishing place, where generation of Namkeg people from the Pawtucket Band of the Massachusetts tribe lived and passed through for centuries. We acknowledge that this is unceded indigenous land and also acknowledge the Massachusetts tribe who continue to honor and hold this land into the present. Salem City Council is committed to having ongoing, meaningful dialogue with the indigenous peoples who have presence in Salem in order to dismantle the legacies of oppression and inequities that persist today. Public testimony. Public testimony not to exceed 15 minutes. Public testimony is not a public hearing or question or answer period. Sign-up must occur 30 minutes prior to the meeting. The president shall, depending on the number of speakers, set a time limit not to exceed 3 minutes, which each individual presenting testimony must abide. Tonight, we have 3 people signed up to speak, and each will receive 3 minutes to talk. First, we have Brendan Walsh. And if you like, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Madam President. Brendan Walsh, 5 West Terrace, Salem. I'm going to give Council Flynn some papers to hand out. This is a copy of a letter that I sent to the Salem News today. I'm here to speak about the situation with parking and particularly with older residents. I timed this thing at 2 minutes and 37 seconds, so hopefully we'll do it. I had a painter at my house on Tuesday, March 24th. He got a parking ticket. He got the ticket because, 1, I did not go online to change the plate number for visiting parking. 2, he couldn't use my driveway, which was occupied by a guest vehicle. I'm going to add to this what you don't have. My visiting nurse for this was visiting a person on Geneva Street, and he was ticketed despite having both a VNA placard and a veteran's plate. So I wrote to the news to say that the parking enforcement program in Salem is quite efficient. Efficient, yes. Best we can do, no. Decidedly, no. Is it good for the enforcement officers? Yes. No getting out of the car. Is it good for most residents? No. Is it good for businesses serving homeowners like plumbers, painters, electricians, handy persons? Decidedly, no. Why? It puts an undue burden on the homeowner. 1, every time a service provider comes to my home, I am supposed to go online and enter their plate number and description of the vehicle, which I usually won't know in advance. 2, there are times when I may have 2 or 3 tradespeople here simultaneously. I cannot enter all the numbers. 3, there are emergencies when something breaks down, etc., and the emergency repair person comes ASAP, whenever that may be. I will have no idea what their plate number is, when they will arrive, or what their vehicle is. 4, the system puts the onus entirely on me to keep the record up to date. The system implies that everyone has this is number 5, the system implies that everyone has a computer on which to enter the info and knows how to do so. The implication is false. Not everyone has a computer, and many do not know how to use one, especially among my age peers. I'm 86. 6, the appeal process is entirely online. I've been told that this is so because the, quote, parking people don't want to deal with angry people who who are incidentally paying their salary. 7, when I previously suggested to the authorities that we should retain placards to put on the vehicles of visitors, I was told that placards lead to, quote, abuses, like neighbors borrowing neighbors' placards. That's not abuse. That's neighborly cooperation. If, for instance, a neighbor was to host a group of people after a graduation, an event, a funeral, etc., they might borrow neighbors' placards to ensure that visitors are not ticketed.
Thank you. Thank you for your,
I'm up. Sorry.
appreciate
Took longer than I thought.
Next, we have Steve Kapantis. Steve, can you try to speak? Please go ahead.
Thank you for unmuting me. I sent my comments in, so have a productive meeting, and if Mr. Walsh is still there, I yield back time for him. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take another 10 seconds.
It's okay. It's always the next meeting. Next, we have Sierra Bradway. Please unmute yourself.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So I just wanted to make comment regards to I see on the agenda that we'll be getting to the Warren Museum coming to Salem again. I wanted to comment related to that. As somebody who lives and works in Salem for years now, I just oppose it for a number of reasons that I'd like the council to consider. I'd like to start with who it's currently owned by. It's owned by comedian Matt Rife and Elliot Castee. Matt Rife is a canceled, misogynistic, transphobic, ableist Netflix comedian. And Castee is a YouTuber who's also been in massive online controversy, but the nature of the museum itself is problematic. Ed and Lorraine Warren were considered by many to be frauds, and the man who originally created and produced the first Conjuring movie, the movie based off of the story of the Warrens, is quoted by saying Ed was a pedophile, a sexual predator, and a physically abusive husband. Not people I'm sure that the city of Salem would like to glorify or espouse. The Warren Museum is also to allegedly include items and belongings from serial killers, Kind of a strange thing, I think, to turn into glorified curiosities. And just having lived in that area in general, I can attest to the awful congestion and traffic in that area of Essex Street. The operating hours proposed are also pretty unimaginable. It'll create a lot of disturbances for locals, and I really can't even begin to fathom how it would really work within the city and our current infrastructure. I'm not sure what else tourists are supposed to do around 1 and 2 in the morning. Where will they go? What else they'll see, and trains, in and out of Salem don't run that late nearly. And parking is already a contentious issue that time of year. So it just seems like there's a lot up against it. And I've heard a lot of dissent from other people I know who live and work in town. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public testimony. Hearings.
We have continued from the last meeting a hearing on the petition of Haunted Warren Museum LLC 259 Essex Street to operate 7 days per week year-round between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 a.m.
Is there anyone appearing in favor? Please approach the podium. And please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Elton Castay. This is my wife, Ginger Castay. We currently live in Los Angeles. We did also submit an adjustment to the hours request, which should be stated as Sunday to Wednesday, closing at midnight, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, closing at 1 a.m. So after hearing the feedback from the last meeting, we did formally submit that through our lawyer, and I believe that should be on file with all the counselors. So I just want to clarify, we did come in here, take all that feedback. I did immediately go back to the architect, move some things around, readjust it, rework everything, and kind of reformulate the lowest hour scenario I can feasibly make this work. With that being said, right after, I did also print out letters to bring to all the different neighbors in the Barton Square neighborhood, any of the ones that I could figure out how to get to the door of, or the mailboxes. I left letters with my email, my phone number, saying, please reach out to me. Would love to talk about this to any degree. I will say no one did reach out to me. And anyone who has reached out to me about this directly, some people are in this room, I have answered everyone. Anyone who did call me, anyone who did Instagram DM me, I have been completely open and transparent in any degree I can be about the matter. So with that being said, though, the one thing I would like to kind of just unfortunately jump ahead of is there's a lot of misconception and presumptions that are being made about me. One, my name is not Elliot. My name is Elton Castay. My best friend was just referenced earlier in a comment about things, and he's canceled, and a lot of hateful, unfortunate rhetoric that we deal with on a very common basis. And unfortunately, the reason I'm addressing that is because I know that impacts the opinions that others, because if that's your first time hearing about Elliot Castay or Matt Rife, that unfortunately dictates your opinion of them, and we are not those people. There was also slander mentioned about Ed Warren. That was also disputed. There's court documents about it. My point is, I would like to just be able to present who we are and like what we're looking to do here, because unfortunately, I have seen all the Facebook posts, I've seen all the Reddit comments, and I know that that's why my lawyer isn't here today, because this isn't a matter of a legal dispute. This is a matter of convincing the town that this is something that should be here, that belongs here, and that is a good thing for the people that live here, for the jobs that we'll create here, and for the hotels that will fill up, the Airbnbs will fill up, and things of that nature. So just slightly backtracking, what we're presenting is not a haunted house. It is not with Blackcraft. We would be assuming their location, and if this does not happen, they would maintain their location. They're not owners in this, they're not operators in this. Last time there was prejudice brought up because we were an Anaheim company, which shouldn't even be relevant, but we're not an Anaheim company. We will both be moving to Salem together to do this. We're not just like opening the doors and saying, have at it, everyone. We'll be living here, day-to-day operators, managing this. If there's ever a concern, the same way anyone can message me, call me, talk to me now, they will forever and always be able to do that. And the last thing is that this is meant to be a museum. I know the haunted aspect is kind of overshadowing the museum aspect, but at the end of the day, the reason why I loved Salem as a choice is not only did the Warrens love it, but this is a city that embraces curiosity. This is a city that embraces something that most don't, which is the realm of witchcraft and the occult and the unknown and the paranormal. And this museum is dedicated to embracing that and giving people a way to learn about it that doesn't exist elsewhere, in my opinion. So I just wanted to kind of just lay that out there, that I'm here to listen to everything and just be as accommodating as I can. I offered putting either off-duty police officers in Barton Square. I offered to do 24/7 security in Barton Square to offset problems that already exist, I assume, from the bars, even though I'm not responsible for that. So any issue there is, I am trying to find a solution here to make this work. And I'm just here to listen and discuss, and I hope that all the predetermined hatred against me and my friends, even though none of the positives have ever been brought up, like all the charity work that we do, that's on the shadows, but that's where I'm at. So again, I would really love for this to be open-mindedly considered for these hours, because this unfortunately is the only way I can make it work. And if I cannot get these hours, I have to bring this to another city to make this work, because it is unfortunately a business. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor? Please approach. And please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas Vasquez, address 2122 Avalon Drive in Peabody, Massachusetts. Hi, everybody. I am the general manager of Blackcraft Salem currently, and just going to begin, simply put, in saying that I am in full support of the proposed Warren Occult Museum and the plan that is being presented. I'm just here to share some perspective on how this proposal connects to our experience as a local business. Over the past several years, we've seen steady, meaningful growth in both the store and in the surrounding area. And as a company, we've worked really hard to translate that growth into tangible benefits for our employees, myself included, which I am super grateful for. This has included creating more full-time positions, which I have, which is amazing and allows me to live in the area and work year-round. We're expanding part-time roles into full-time opportunities, and we're offering benefits, health, and dental insurance to our full-time employees. During the busy season, our current haunted attraction, Blackcraft Haunt, has also allowed us to bring in and support a larger staff, many of whom are local community members who gladly return to work with us year after year and say it's one of the best experiences they've ever had. At the same time, our current haunted attraction model has become increasingly challenging to sustain, particularly given its highly seasonal nature, with activity concentrated in just a few months out of the year. Because of this, we have been actively looking at ways to evolve into something more stable and consistent. So, the proposed museum represents a chance from our vantage point to see someone building on that foundation in a more sustainable way. By creating a permanent attraction, the museum has the potential to provide more consistent employment opportunities for individuals who have previously worked in our haunted experiences, which we would like nothing more than for them to have more opportunity. And it also helps us bring steady foot traffic to the area beyond peak season, which is absolutely massive for us. So ultimately, the proposal reflects an opportunity to continue building on the momentum that we've already seen, supporting some local jobs, and contributing to an engaging environment for both residents and visitors. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor? Please approach.
Hello, I'm Renee Mandrake. I'm a resident of Salem. I'm also a descendant, and I am partially for the Warren Museum coming to town for a few reasons. One is I don't know these people. Hi, sorry. But I did want to go and visit the Warren Museum before the Warrens died. And I've wanted to do this for a very long time. There are a lot of artifacts in that museum that I would love to see here in Salem, that I would love people to come and visit here in Salem. I do believe that if we're going to take people in through their business as just a tourist attraction, or multiple people coming in as a regular museum, that can all be done during regular business hours, 12 to 8, which is what our community really does run on. However, if they wanted to do it as a small ghost haunt or learn about the collection a little bit more, I am also interested in those later hours. That could be an activity for us that would be like an alcohol-free activity for people in town to go and do. I don't get out of work until 8, and I want something to do after 8. But to have something that the Warrens used to hold at the Warren Museum was a dinner and a intimate encounter with the collection, in which you got a private tour, or you would discuss some details, and that seems like something that would be really reasonable at the end of the day. That can also limit the amount of people coming into the museum at night, versus instead of just hundreds of people coming through, you could do a higher ticket value for a smaller group of people, still being able to be financially solvent for your business, but not have a crazy rush of people coming out at 2 in the morning in the middle of our town. If it's people paying a higher ticket value and you have maybe 12 people, they're going to be more respectful leaving the facility. So I think that there's a way that we can work with them, but I think that we need to make sure that the community's safe, our spirits are safe, and nothing's entering or leaving that building or a collection. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in support? We'll continue in person.
Sorry, there was somebody else on that side I didn't know.
We'll have you first, and then we'll have you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Barbrick. I live at Bertuccio Avenue, Salem. I've had the opportunity to get to know Elton over the past couple of months, and he's taken the time to explain his vision for the Warren Museum to me. From what I've learned, this is not intended to be a haunted house or a shock attraction, as some may expect. It's rather an educational experience focused on the history of the paranormal. And as we all know, Salem is a city with a rich, unique history, including a strong connection to the paranormal. While the Warren Museum may not be directly tied to Salem's specific history, it would still offer visitors a deeper and more meaningful experience related to the interests that already bring many people here. The hours being discussed, like he was saying, 1 a.m. possibly now, I think that's reasonable because you have bars down the street, like, for example, O'Neill's. It's open 7 days a week, and they close at 1 a.m. So you have people leaving the bars at 1 a.m. versus groups of, for the late hours, I believe 8 people leaving the museum at 1 a.m. And some of those people leaving the bars park at the YMCA parking lot on Essex Street. So I don't think it'd be more disruptive people leaving the museum. And a museum, by contrast, is a much more controlled and quieter environment. For residents like myself, we're not interested in nightlife centered around bars, so having a late night option that is educational and low impact would be a really positive addition to the community, I think. I understand that there are concerns about noise and disruption, but I believe those concerns can be addressed and that this type of business is unlikely to create the same issues associated with late night bar activity. From my conversations with Elton, it's clear that he wants to be a respectful part of the community, and respectful of the community he becomes part of. Creating conflict with the neighborhood would not only harm the city, but it would also harm his business. So it's in his best interest to operate responsibly. And overall, I believe this museum would be a valuable addition to the city, both culturally and economically, and I support allowing it to operate during the proposed hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else appearing in favor in person? And please state your name and addresses for the record.
My name is Benjamin Selecki. I am a Salem resident here in town. And Alexis and I also own Vamp Fangs in town. Anything vampire around here is probably tied to us one way or the other. So first off, I don't know Elton. I don't know Matt, to be honest. I'd never even heard Matt's comedy. No idea. I'm not here to speak on either of their characters. Because quite frankly, I don't think we should be deciding who gets to operate in town based on any type of ad hominem attacks or any type of personal views that someone may or may hold. And so that's kind of first piece. I do know just in general about the Warren Museum that people do travel a significant distance to go see it from all over the country and all year round. It's not just limited to a October style attraction or October style draw. I do think that the adjustment to the operating hours, I do think is a little more in line with activity we already see in the town. I don't think on a Wednesday afternoon we expect to see people coming out of there at 2 a.m. I just don't think the businesses, people aren't here to support that, right? Salem's a very sleepy town. People that are coming into town, they probably, if they're traveling any type of distance, they very likely are going to stay somewhere in town. They're definitely going to eat somewhere in town, and probably going to shop somewhere in town as well. I do think that this could be a good draw in the off season as well. I'm not a super huge fan of haunted things, but that's not really here nor there, right? Like I don't think that we should be making decisions about what types of businesses can come in or who can come in and operate these businesses. I think as long as they're following the rules and if these extended hours are granted, I do think, obviously, like a previous speaker said, it's in their best interest to make sure that the crowds coming out are quiet, that they move along, that they're dispersed. Because if not, they're going to have problems, right? We have noise ordinance in the town. We have all types of mechanisms, I think, to enforce violations of any problems that may possibly occur. Obviously, being right across the street, I don't sleep there, so it's not really going to affect me at 1 a.m., but I can certainly understand the concern of some of the neighbors that live in the area. I do not know how they intend on flowing people in and out of there. I don't know which door they're going to use, etc. But I do know that just from having a background in haunted attraction production, that the Blackcraft haunt there, when you have a group of people in the queue line, you have actors out there scaring them, right? They're yelling, they're hooting, they're hollering. It creates a lot more of a, it's a lot more noisy, I think, than we probably would expect to see coming out of a museum crowd. Particularly if there's no alcohol involved, and people are coming out of there at 1. If they were drunk going in, they're certainly not going to be drunk coming out 2.5 hours later. So I don't really think that we have too much of a problem to worry about as far as people coming out of there and, fights in the middle of the street like maybe happen elsewhere in town, right? I don't think we're going to need some crazy police presence when this museum lets out at 1 a.m. As needed elsewhere in town. So overall, I think as long as the mechanisms are in place to manage noise, crowd control, and they're willing to bring whatever resource to the table in order to manage those crowds effectively, overall, I think let them come in and let the market decide. If this business model works, let the market decide if this is a valid business to operate here in the city. So that's all I have.
You just said everything I wanted to say. So, just in general, I'm very much in favor for this museum coming in. The paranormal industry as a whole is a really respectful and kind of interesting and curious group of people, and I don't see them creating a whole lot of issues late at night outside at all. I think with Gulu Gulu being 2 doors down, their operating hours, they end at 1 a.m. as well. So there's a bar literally 2 doors down that's letting out at the exact same time. And if there's been no issues in the neighborhood with people who are in there drinking, I can't imagine that people who are interested looking at paranormal objects are going to create much of a fuss. So that's all. Yeah.
If it does come to town, just keep those things in the building, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor in person? Seeing none, do we have anyone in favor on Zoom? Okay. Okay, please unmute. State your name and address for the record.
Hi there. Good evening. This is Kirsty Phillips, 253 Essex Street, Salem, Massachusetts. I'm the co-owner and managing partner of Blackcraft Salem. Everyone heard from my GM, Tom, earlier in person this evening. I'm really sorry I can't be there in person today. I'll give you a little bit color on that just in a minute. But I definitely wanted to speak in support of the Warren Occult Museum, to no surprise, and Elton, as he petitions on the operating hours for the proposed business at 259 Essex Street. I really encourage City Council to focus on the facts tonight. I've seen so many posts circulating online, just residents trying to get other residents together to show up simply because they don't want them here. They don't agree with their product. I've seen a lot of very negative and hateful things posted online. It's been truly disheartening, honestly. I can myself say that I've also experienced some of this local bullying type as a business owner who isn't local. I'm not local. It's discussed a lot. Anaheim, California. Actually, I don't even live there. I've experienced this for the past 4 years, despite doing everything in my power to make a local impact for the community. Major sponsorships for the city festivals and events, partnerships and collaborations with local businesses, donations to a variety of local charity groups. We've tried to make a real impact. A little bit about why I'm not local. Kind of hate to go there, but I have to say it wasn't my intention not to be considered local. I signed my lease in March of 2022 with full plans to move there with my husband and my dogs. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer at the age of 31, and I decided to move forward with the business and put everything I had into it. Fully hiring and training all of my incredible full-time staff. I took breaks from chemo to fly out. Although I don't live there, I am definitely there quite frequently. I have an apartment there. I love the community. I have a few allies, and I love doing business there. I spend about 30% of my time there. I'm still receiving treatment at City of Hope in California, and I spend a lot of time with my immediate family in upstate New York. Those are the two true reasons in which I am not there full time, and also the reason I'm not there tonight. I just wanted to say this. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm doing quite well. But just a reminder to everyone that things might not always be what they seem online. Don't always believe the comments you read. There's a lot of negativity, and, you know, it's taken me 4 years to actually make this statement, and I don't think a lot of people know. With that, I just ask again to set aside the preconceived notions that people have about the Warren Occult Museum. There's been lots of discussion already on that. I'll kind of let that lie. I'll ask yourself how different it is for a small group to be leaving the museum, of which isn't serving any alcohol, from the groups leaving O'Neill's and Gulu Gulu just feet away at the same time. Honestly, Elton has been a really nice guy I've come to know and work with, truly. And I'm not just saying that. He's really been wonderful. He's asked me in our first early discussions how, you know, we can move staff over if we move forward with this. And I truly believe that he has really good intentions. And I also think he'll add value to the community, just as we have tried to do, despite being labeled as an outsider. So thank you for your time. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor on Zoom? Susan, if you can unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, hello. I'm Susan Cook. I'm at 8 Brown Street in Salem. I would like to state that, first of all, I have no preconceived notions of Warren or really any of the businesses there. I think, despite, I'm sorry, what Kirsty has gone through, I think people are very welcoming here. What I am extremely concerned about is the hours. I do appreciate that Warren has said that they are coming back with different hours. It's not going to be 2 a.m. It's going to be, I believe, 10:30, 11 a.m. But even at that, I feel that that is really quite late for a museum to be open at this point. I don't think we can compare a museum to the people that you are going to get at O'Neill's or Gulu Gulu. I mean, this is apples and oranges. I happened to work somewhere where we did try staying open, and we were open very late in October. And what we found out was that that did not work very well. We did get a lot of people that were not quite ready to go through a museum at that time. So one of the things that was said in the beginning for the people that are going to operate Warren is that it will bring business into Salem. I thought they said that will help with filling up, or it was hotels, et cetera. I don't think we have any problem with that. I think we're doing quite well. I could be incorrect. But I think we have to take a look at what is the goal here. If you can manage the people, well, maybe you will have to. Is this going to put a strain on our already strained police system and traffic once we get into a heavy season, which seems to be getting longer and longer? So I think if you're going to be here, scale it back a little bit. You know, be open until 6, 7, whatever. I think that would certainly be better than what is being presented now. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor on Zoom? Seeing none, is anyone, I'll start with in person, here appearing in opposition? And I think what I'll do is I'll start at this end of the room and work over. So I think that would... Thanks. Please step up and please, all of you speak right into the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, everybody. Paige Bessie, 13 Barton Square. I am a 15-year Salem resident, student, active in the community. I've been on Salem Arts Festival Committee. I have been on the Haunted Happenings Task Force. I have worked with City Council before. I have done everything. I'm going to try to spark notes this for you because I have a lot to say, and I'm going to put my opinions on Matt Rife aside from it and just get down to the fact of the matter is that I've already had issues of, I rent a beautiful, beautiful home in Barton Square, and I live on the first floor. I already have issues with Blackcraft as neighbors. They have not been very accommodating to, as much as I appreciate that they act with the Creative Collective and their sponsorships, and I feel for their manager. My mom is a 4-time cancer survivor. This is heartbreaking to me. It's not that, it's the neighborhood thing, and I sit and I stare at that parking lot every day, and I see what happens during October, and I see what happens on a day-to-day basis. Staff only, 4 cars out there, 20 spaces empty. We already have a parking problem in Salem. October comes around, the taco trucks is there. There's no management outside of it. The trash goes into our bins in our apartment. And I had surgery a couple years ago. My dad was just trying to drop me off food at my apartment, tried to pull into the lot. They immediately tried to tow his car. I understand that you have said that you're going to bring in this policing and try to manage this, and how much I appreciate that. There's still an issue of people won't listen. And we have seen this October after October of no matter what you do, it's still a constant problem where on the first floor, I have people coming up onto my back porch, looking in my back windows of a private property, walking around. You can't police that. You can't stop these people from doing that. And I just think this idea of what this will draw as the collection it is, wrapping around, I'm sure, the lines into this area as a continued problem with the trash and everything is point one. Point two for this is the Warrens were staunch Roman Catholics. They were very much against witchcraft, thought it was going to bring evil to the world, were hatred against it. I'm just wondering what that says to our local witchcraft community of bringing something like this to that. As well as, oh my gosh, I have so much to say, but I'm gonna try to. There was also the fact of, oh God, I'm blanking now. But there's more Barton Square residents here that I'm sure. Sarah, oh yes, oh. Thank you. I have a personal collaborator that I've worked with that actually worked with the Warren Collection when it was traveling to Illinois. And they said that it was loud, there were drunks everywhere. She said that we had a difficult time collaborating with them just for the people that are attending. So I want to know how that's going to change from the traveling exhibition to now it being permanent. O'Neill's and everything aside, I know the owners and the managers of O'Neill's, again, living in Barton Square, looking out at that parking lot, they try really hard to manage the situation coming out of the restaurant. And them knowing me and me knowing them, they've been even more staunch about how they've been regulating this Barton Square situation. But knowing somebody that has seen this exhibition traveling and worked with it directly, saying that this problem persisted in the Midwest and in the West, I'm just wondering how you're going to mitigate that for, you know, the 1 million tourists that we get from the months of September to October, and how you're going to regulate that for our residencies when we already have this constant problem of things that are happening that have not been addressed.
Thank you.
May I respond to that so I don't lose track of everything?
Not at this time. Thank you. Anyone else appearing in opposition in person? Yeah. Oh, we'll have. Okay. Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hey there, I'm Marita McGinn. I live at 13 Barton Square. I'm here speaking on behalf of my family. We're the owners of the building that Paige lives in. So I absolutely love living in Salem, mostly because I am living in my childhood home. This is a multi-generational home that my dad in the corner, awesome craftsman, has personally redone the whole house. I'm sure many of us in the neighborhood remember what the house looked like 5 years ago. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm really proud of it. So I care really deeply about keeping Salem an amazing place to live. And that's why we are unfortunately still opposed to the special time adjustments for the Occult Museum. Mostly three big reasons. Number one, it's going to cause an enormous disruption to our neighborhood. Not only the noise, it's also just the extra people in Barton Square. Late into the evening. And I also think this sets a really big new precedent for how Salem handles nighttime activities moving forward. So we did look through the meeting notes from last meeting. From our understanding in the paperwork, it looks like there's going to be about 72 people per hour going into the attraction, which is about 12 people per every 10 minutes. I'm trying to think about another business that operates this way in downtown Salem, and I can't come up with one. And I think this is going to be an enormous change to our neighborhood. And I simply just don't think it's going to work for the people that actually live downtown. It's not just Barton Square, it's all the people in Essex. I can accept that this is a museum, but the whole premise is to be kind of scared and experience haunted encounters. The Annabelle doll, the whole point is to be frightened. And it's not so much about learning, at least that's my assumption here based off of the Instagram pages that I've been looking at. It's not like it's the PEM and guests are going to be leaving like they just learned about an art history museum. It's a totally different thing. This is a nighttime attraction. And I'm kind of wrapping it up here. I want to say my family's not anti-business. We're all entrepreneurs. And in the 45 years that we've owned this property, we have not done what we're doing right now. We've never been opposed to any business starting in Salem. And I love the idea of I think someone over here brought up a great idea. We should have more stuff that's not drinking and eating. And I love the idea of having more activities for tourists and residents, but we feel really strongly that this business needs to operate within our existing city rules. I feel really strongly that the entrance and exit needs to happen on Essex, and that Barton Square, there's been some mention of outhouses being installed, and it would just really make our life hard if that happened. And I just want to say to Elton and Ginger, I'm sure that this has been a really difficult process. I think it's good that you're here, and I appreciated your letter. And I want you to know it's not personal. This is just this is where we live, and I hope you can understand that we would be opposed to this. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else appearing in opposition in person?
Hello, everyone. My name is Josiah Guthrie. I'm a resident of 69 Essex Street. In our last meeting about this topic, I appreciated hearing from our neighbors about this proposal. I found myself recognizing that the arguments we heard are so often arguments which I oppose. I often see terms like changing the character of our neighborhood as code for we're unwilling to consider change of any kind. And I often see homeowner-centric arguments as privileged rhetoric which seeks to position renters as second-class citizens. However, delving into the nuance of this particular situation, I was pleased to find myself in agreement with our neighbors who would be most impacted by this due to proximity, and by each of our counselors, all of whom showed a commitment to Salem residents. I I especially appreciate Councillor Smith, who extended a generous motion to postpone the final decision on this matter in order to give an opportunity for the community to voice their thoughts in more depth. While many salient points have been made in opposition to this, perhaps the most prominent one being the possibility of year-round late night and early morning noise in a residential area, I want to highlight some of our city's values. We all know Salem is a tourist hotspot in the October season where we see millions of tourists each year, and we also all know as Salem residents that the Halloween season is a lot. It is something our community prepares for each year as though it is an oncoming storm. While aspects of it are fun and festive and exciting, there's also a sense of relief that comes when it's over. This relief comes because tourists are not strictly a benefit to our city. While we do see an amount of revenue come to our city during the season, the city has also expressed many difficulties with the tourists. Not only the burden of managing foot traffic and crowd disbursement, but also difficulty in benefiting financially from that tourism. Some of you may remember the proposal I submitted last month, which addressed some of these difficulties, citing messaging from the mayor's 2026 budget. Resulting in part from this tourist overload, Salem residents have a strong sense of support for small, beloved local businesses. Our own Councillor Varela owns a small farm which offers community-supported agriculture shares with produce pickup at his delicious restaurant on Derby Street. And Councillor Tarowski was endorsed by a small bicycle shop on Washington Street who happens to be installing a bike rack on my bicycle. These are the sort of businesses which I would like to see exceptions made for. Because what's on the table is not welcoming them into our city or not, but making an exception to the rules that already exist. These businesses, which I mentioned, are locally owned, they target residents with what they offer, and they align with our stated values. When I consider this wealthy company which seeks to profit off of our city's tragic history, I don't understand how Salem would benefit from that. We've never been a city which compromises our values for tourist attractions, and Salem residents are likely to experience this as little more than a burden. In the last meeting, this and earlier today as well, the team doing this proposal mentioned that they have other locations where they could find success, and I suggest that they pursue those options. Rather than approving this exception and allowing this location to become cemented as a late night novelty for visitors, I would much rather hope for it to eventually fall into the hands of something like the Cheese Shop or Polonus Deli or the Daily Table, which are no longer with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person appearing in opposition? Yeah. Please state your name and address.
My name is Lois Sargent, and I live on 10 Norman Street, which is a block away from the Essex Street. I have some things I wanted to say, but in lieu of the fact that everybody's talking about a museum, I just want to say that I've been all over the world and visited museums, and they are usually open during business hours, and if they have an evening, they have one evening which they're open till 9. During COVID, I became very concerned about these small museums that people don't really, we all give to the Red Cross and different big agencies, and I began supporting things like the Tuskegee Airmen, the Silver Stars, and the World War II WAPS Museum, and the Yiddish Museum, which is up in Western Mass. And so, again, I just can't understand why a museum, if it's a museum, simply a museum, that it needs to be open till midnight. I'm very proud of my city. Salem is a historic city. This Halloween business was morphed out of Salem witch trials. And but we have other activities that really we should be very proud of. We're the birthplace of the National Guard. We have a world-famous museum, Peabody Essex Museum. Where in the world can you see an 1820 China house and a 1820 colonial house right across the street so that you can go and tour one and see the contrast in another. Nowhere else in the world except Salem, Massachusetts. We also have Green Lawn, which is a historic, I'm sorry, I have trouble with my speech, national heritage. It's a park. It's become more than a cemetery. It's a park that everyone enjoys. People go there for birding. We have people coming from all over the world. I'm a supporter. I'm on Friends of Green Lawn, so I know we have plants and trees from all over the world there, and people come to study them. We have so much to be proud of that we can welcome any kind of business here. We don't have to make adjustments for a business to do business. We can call them to our standards. And so I ask you to reconsider all these things that pertain to our city. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in opposition in person?
Anyone else? Guess I'm last. Good evening, councilors. My name is Melissa Wojcik, and I live at 9 Barton Square. During the last city council meeting, we heard from neighbors and city councilors about the concerns with the extended hours for the Haunted Warren Museum. And we heard how it's not a fit for Barton Square. Since the meeting, Elton did distribute a letter to neighbors indicating some revised hours, which are actually different from the ones that are in the agenda that I saw online today. So I would like us to get clarity on that. There was a provision of the first 90 days being 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. That was not part of the letter. So if we could, sorry, I'm getting sick, so my voice is a little wacky. So just wanted to flag that for neighbors who maybe didn't have a chance to read the agenda, that there was just a little disparity that we need to understand. The letter also included a seasonal closure from late December to early March and the 2-year planned tenancy at 259 Essex Street. So I am very grateful for your letter. I actually shared it with neighbors who didn't get one, and appreciate the time that you took and the sentiments, because I do believe they're genuine. And I do appreciate the adjustment from 2 a.m. to 1 a.m. I do still remain concerned that the hours are not great for our mixed-use neighborhood. The social media around the Haunted Warren Museum attraction indicates that it's designed to be an experience centered on fear and suspense and late-night paranormal themes. And that positioning shapes the attendance patterns and visitor behavior. Unlike traditional museums, the attraction aims to draw a heightened reaction and increased activity late at night. In a setting like Barton Square, where the noise carries quite easily because it's a brick and masonry environment, those dynamics translate directly into nighttime noise and disruption for residents. Those of us who live here would experience that year-round, not just during Halloween, which is how it is right now. So as someone whose bedroom window faces the back parking lot of 259 Essex Street, I, for instance, am not able to open my windows at night during Halloween. When I'm on a call working from home and I'm on Zoom and I don't have a headset on, I have to close my window because people can hear me, can hear the noise in the background. So Elton has acknowledged becoming aware of the existing late-night activity and tourism-related challenges in our neighborhood, and I think that should weigh heavily on evaluating whether or not the exception to Salem standard business hours should weigh heavily on that decision. For me, the issue is not the matter, it's not the subject matter of the attraction. I don't care. I think paranormal is a good fit for Salem. It's the intensity and the timing of the use, because being designed to peak overnight is fundamentally different from a standard business hours operation or museum. As you heard in the March 12th meeting, the neighborhood has already experienced significant challenges related to tourist behavior and trash. And just as an indication of the level of concern, I share with you that 12 Barton Square neighbors, this is a tiny neighborhood, 12 Barton Square neighbors came together this past rainy Monday night to meet with Councilor Smith and share their concerns. I don't know about you, but neighbors don't get together anymore. So I think we were all surprised that there were 12 people who showed up. Given the existing challenges the neighborhood faces and the intensity and timing of the use of the proposed attraction, I respectfully request that the council limit the operating hours to standard Salem business operating hours. The hours represent a reasonable balance between supporting tourism and protecting the quality of life for year-round residents. And late-night, high-intensity attractions are not inherently inappropriate for Salem, but they should be located where their impacts can be best absorbed. And I don't think that 259 Essex Street is one of those locations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Point of order, Madam President. I just want to remind the audience that the council chambers are not a place for clapping. It violates our rules of decorum. We may not disagree with you, but it would just ask you all to please respect those rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hopworth. Is there anyone else appearing in opposition in person? Seeing none, do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. We do have someone on Zoom. Amanda, if you'd like to unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Amanda Bohr Lazarus, and I own 266 Essex Street, number 3, which is basically across the street from the proposed museum at 259 Essex Street. I've owned this condo for more than 20 years, and I'm here tonight to respectfully oppose the request for extended operating hours. While I absolutely understand the desire to create a successful business, the proposed hours, especially exits as late as 1 a.m. and at midnight during the week, will have just a real and ongoing impact for the folks of us that live here. We're not talking about an occasional event or a seasonal activity. This is every night, week after week, with guests exiting directly onto Essex Street, right across from residential buildings like mine and the bedroom window of my unit. I can understand 1 a.m. closing time on the weekend, but really any time after 10 p.m. is still too late during the week. Even though there may be smaller tour groups going through the museum, we're still talking about a steady stream of people leaving late at night, talking, gathering, maybe waiting for rides or Ubers, or just lingering. The sound carries very easily in Barton Square, but also on Essex Street with the masonry there. Particularly at night when other things are quiet, those voices will just really reverberate down the street. What may seem like a controlled exit in reality is just going to be repeated noise disruptions for all of the residents on Essex Street just trying to sleep. Additionally, I know there's been a lot of conversation about the Barton Square parking lot. My unit backs up to the YMCA parking lot. And so there may be people also going back to that YMCA parking lot. We're talking again about even more late night foot traffic, conversations, and just general activity that's extending well beyond the museum doors and just into that surrounding neighborhood. I think the idea that this can be fully managed or kept quiet every single night is just not realistic. This truly is a mixed use area. There are people that live here full time, not just during the tourist season. And all of the residents deserve a reasonable expectation of peace and quiet during those late night hours after 10 p.m. during the week. So again, I urge the council to just carefully consider the cumulative impact of these extended hours. We do have regulations about the hours for our businesses. And again, I ask you to just carefully consider the impact of these extended hours and to just prioritize the quality of life for the residents of this neighborhood. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in opposition on Zoom? Trevor, if you could unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Hey, everybody. Trevor Spires, 13 Barton Square resident. I'll keep it very brief. I don't think I could say anything better than the residents who have spoken so far. I agree with virtually all the points made by the residents who spoke today. And I really hope to see the council vote with the residents. Thank you very much for hearing all of the points tonight, and look very forward to hearing you all vote with the residents. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online speaking in opposition? No. Okay, so with none, do any of the councilors have questions or comments? No? Councilor Davis?
Thank you, President Merkel. I guess I'll go first. I would like to see us give this a chance. I think that I like what was said about this being a community that embraces curiosity, that isn't afraid of growth, that is welcoming, that's not afraid of change. I happen to really agree with that kind of vision of Salem. I think we're exactly the kind of place that would allow this kind of fun, weird thing to happen. Not that I don't think that the concerns of the residents should be taken very seriously, and I think to their credit, I think they have been taken very seriously. We're seeing a different proposal here, and I just think we will not know until we give this a shot, right? We're not future tellers. I want to do a 6-month trial and see, will the concerns of the residents that have been brought up come true, or will these folks be really great neighbors? I think only time will tell that. We actually heard from residents tonight, residents of Salem, that are interested in this, and I think that shows a real clear benefit. I would love to see kind of third places in Salem that aren't drinking focused. I absolutely have opinions about Matt Rife. I don't feel comfortable making a decision on this base of that. I don't think that would be appropriate for us. So I'd like to see us give this a shot.
Thank you. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. I think just it's important to say that we as a council aren't saying yes or no to any business. We don't do that here in Salem generally. What we're saying, and we hope that every business that opens in Salem has the best of luck with what they do. We're being asked to adjust our rules that we have that apply to the businesses of Salem. And I think that what we have in front of us is not a judgment of somebody's character or somebody's reputation. I think those things are not within our purview. What is within our purview is what's best for the residents of Salem and the people of Salem. We have a commercial space that will pay the same commercial tax rate to the city of Salem regardless of who operates there. We have a high downtown occupancy rate right now. I have no doubt that something else will go into that space if the Warren Museum is not able to make it work financially. I could never be in a place to give someone advice on how to operate their business, but if you spent enough time in Salem, there are museums that operate with far less than the Annabelle doll and the Conjuring Universe objects that do very, very well and close at 5 p.m. So I think that, I've said before that I could put $100 worth of Spirit Halloween decorations in my garage and probably get a line out the door. So we wish every business the best of luck, but I think that we do have to make our decisions based on what's best for the residents of Salem. as always, I'll follow the ward councilor's lead on these issues, because I think that the ward councilor is always closest to the needs of the residents. But I'm having a struggle right now seeing a benefit to us as a community and to the people of Salem by giving extended hours to a business in that location. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So when it comes to this conversation, this body has an obligation to represent not only its residents, but also its businesses as well. And that's one thing I kind of want to reference too is businesses here sometimes are treated like second-class citizens. I know this by just being a business owner here in Salem. And I just want to let everyone know, and this body, that it is our obligation to be fair how we treat members of our community, whether they are residents or businesses here. And when it comes to this in front of us, when it comes to War Museum, this is in the B5 business district. This is a central development district focusing on high-density commercial mixed use with the intent of pedestrian-oriented retail and services. So we have to take this in consideration. And again, I'm not here to dictate how they want to run their business. They're coming in front of us for relief because they feel it's important for their business model that they be open on the later side, because they have needs and they know what they want out of their business and what their customers want. And I think it's really important of this body to give the opportunity to everybody that wants to be here in Salem, whether it be a resident or a business. And I think that we need to not pass judgment about what's happened in the past. I think that seeing this applicant, they want to come here with an opportunity to give something different to Salem. And I think that this body should be willing to listen and to put considerations in place if this does affect the residents in a detriment, a negative way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, Madam President. Coming from a public safety background and growing up with Halloween in Salem, public safety at the beginning was concerned about not what types of businesses, but how long businesses were going to stay open and how it was going to impact our residents in the downtown area, because we are a mixed-use downtown. It's not just businesses downtown. There are many, many, many residents. A lot of these business buildings have residents, whether apartments up above or condos, and a lot of the complaints have been about the noise and the length of the operation. It took a while before public safety realized that we have to put a cap on what's open and what's not downtown, just for the sake of peace and quiet for the residents in the downtown area. When Halloween comes around, the people who live downtown know and expect that the downtown will quiet down somewhere around 10 o'clock. There are businesses like people with liquor licenses who can stay open, and yes, there is noise that comes out of them, but there's no reason to be adding more businesses to that, because people are already know what they're living with over there, and expect Salem to quiet down, to roll up their sidewalks, to say, somewhere around 10 o'clock at night. I'm not anti-business at all. I like this idea. I would love to go and see what they have to offer and take a tour through there. It's not about the business, it's about the hours of operation. And I don't think that there's any business that could go in there where people would not say, look, after 10 o'clock, this is too late. This is our home, this is where we live, these are our backyards. We just want to know that we can expect peace and quiet like the rest of downtown gets at 10 o'clock. So I like the idea of the business. I just don't like the idea of the hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Smith? Oh, sorry, Councilor King?
Thank you, President Merkel. Well, first of all, I did want to thank not only the applicant for coming, but also all of the neighbors who came in from the neighborhood. I think it's amazing when neighborhoods come together over anything, and I hope you all, regardless of the outcome tonight, have a block party or something this summer and really relish in the community you've created here. I will say that I While I do love the idea of having more diversity of the style of businesses we have downtown, I actually am a huge fan of that, and I think this would technically do that. I'm also a fan of having more businesses open a little bit past 10 o'clock. I just, as someone who walks around downtown after 10 o'clock, I do like having some more businesses open past that time. I agree with all of that. I still really am leaning with the residents, though, in terms of this just being too late for this style of this specific type of business. And I will say that, I really am open to any business opening downtown. I do think that it's important we have that option, but they're by right allowed to be there with regular hours. And I think it's not too much to ask of a business who is trying to ask for an exception to get community support and buy-in from the neighborhood, which obviously I don't think has really happened here. So I just would have liked to see more support from the direct neighbors and abutters, and I think these hours still just won't work. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I've got a little thing I'm going to read real quick. So I do want to thank everyone who joined the public hearing and gave us written feedback. I hope everyone understands that we are listening to that feedback, and as a council, we take our responsibility here seriously. I do want to address a comment that I've heard a couple times, mostly in I think online and in was written to us, is that the area that we're talking about is not a residential neighborhood. It is a mixed-use neighborhood. The Ward 7 councilor referenced this. This is reflected in the uses of the surrounding buildings, some of which are open until 1 a.m. It's also reflected in our zoning. I strongly believe that as a city, we cannot, as a rule, prohibit change, and that in the long term, we need to be open to businesses and services being open later if we want to continue to support our local businesses. As a council, we do have that responsibility to them as well. That said, we need to be intentional and careful with how our city changes over time. And while neighborhoods should expect change in the long term, we should be considerate with how that happens and recognize that people have made big decisions and investments in their home and in their neighborhood, and it would be wrong for the council to force too much change too quickly. In our last meeting of this, the last hearing, I stated my concern with this petition that it may not be possible to fulfill the promises that we have heard about managing the visitor noise in the middle of the night. I appreciate the attempt at compromise with changing the hours, especially on school nights. So, in the spirit of compromise, I would like to provide the opportunity for the petitioner to prove that it is possible to fulfill those promises before we potentially subject the neighborhood to an ongoing detrimental situation without any plan or mechanism to address it. So I would like to make a motion, which I think I can do. Okay. Can I? Yeah. Sure.
Yes, please continue speaking, but we'll wrap up the council discussion before making a motion.
I guess I'll say what I'll say, what I'll reiterate in the motion.
Yes.
Is that similar to what the Councilor Davis was saying? I think it'd be prudent to have a 90-day period, a trial period of sorts, with some slightly modified hours, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. It's very similar to what the revised hours are, with, I think, an hour difference on Thursdays. And that this 90-day period will commence upon certificate of occupancy issued by the City of Salem. The applicant would be required to submit a request to the City Clerk's office to discuss a 90-day trial period before moving forward with regular approved hours per the petition. The applicant would work with the clerk for dates to schedule an update at a regular City Council meeting. So the idea here would be that we see if it's possible. We see if it's possible. And there's, I think, a fair amount of risk to set up this entire business to do 90 days and then fail and have the hours get rolled back. So I think it's a fair compromise in that the residents are getting, the business is putting their money where their mouth is, and they're trying to make sure that this works. And then if it doesn't work, we then as a body have the ability to come back on this and make things right for the neighborhood. That's all for me for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, President. All right, so I have heard from a lot of residents this week. I have spent more hours on this week than I feel like I even had in the day somehow. Councillor Davis's living wage ordinance would make it look ridiculous. Dozens of hours on this. I mean, no, well, yeah, like 20 hours on it, whatever it is. So I'm pretty well versed in everything that's going on. I really don't think it matters what the business is. I really don't think it matters who the people are, because that's not something that we can legally weigh in on. All we're doing here, and again, for folks at home and for folks in the room, if we say no, this business can be open from 6 in the morning until 10 at night. So all we're trying to do is to look at the idea of expanding these hours beyond what is done by right. This is a B5 business zone. Again, this is the top zone of use. I think our hours that are down there are, quite frankly, a little ridiculous, because we have things close at 10. But if you get a liquor license, if they get a liquor license, they can stay open till 1. If they put a bedroom in there, they become an inn, they can be open 24/7, right? I think we should look at that as a whole in a committee or as this council, and maybe expand some of the hours downtown if people are amenable to it. But I don't think we necessarily need to do that for one business just because the business is asking for it. And so when I look at this, I would rather do something that's similar to what Councillor Jalapa has said, but the inverse. I would rather see what you can do within our hours. 10 p.m. on weeknights. You can, and maybe midnight on Friday and Saturday. That's an extra 4 hours a week. You and I have talked, an extra 20 grand right there, a gift from this council to you, beyond the hours. If you take a risk on Salem and you come here and you show us that you can operate within those hours without incident, if you show us that you are willing to bet on Salem, just like Roger Conant came here, the original to start a colony, just like the sailors would go across the world to China to make this prosperous. If you can bet on Salem like all of us have in this room, and you can come out here and make it work within those hours, maybe we can look at expanding that. But I want to see what you do first. And so I would be happy to grant those extra hours, it's an extra 4 hours a week, through a busy season where you can sell tickets at 6 in the morning. Trust us, people do that here. It is wild. I know you don't want to get up. You said that last meeting. It is wild, and we don't need the extra people coming in. That's not going to impress people because we already have enough folks here. But if you can sell tickets within those hours, you can make that work. Then we can schedule a hearing for like the September 10th meeting, right? The first meeting back after August. Do it from August 8th on. And there's also still hurdles for you to clear. You haven't been to our building inspector. You haven't talked to our fire marshal. Like there's going to be a lot. But if you take a chance on Salem with that, I think that we can then look at expanding those hours once you prove to this side of the room and this council that you can operate here without incident. But I'm not willing to just take that flyer on somebody we don't know, somebody from outside who's showing up and saying, I have this really great thing. It's kind of what happened to our ancestors, the ancestors of this land, the Namkeg. And so with that, we may not trust outsiders, and we may have good reason. And so maybe that's it. But I will say that I would probably want to make that motion as we go forward. But let's see what other folks have to say. I also want some clarity. I have a question after all that, I know. You said eight guests after 10 p.m. It says 10. It says 10 guests on this sheet. It says 8 in your presentation. Yeah, that's for you. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I know. It should be quiet, but every question was answered except for this. It now says 10 on the new proposal. This one, the backup that we have says 8.
No, because we had to lessen the hours. So in order to offset losing what was going to be like 12 hours a week, we had to basically, instead of go from 8 people leaving every 20 minutes, to increase to 10 people every 20 minutes. Because that's the increase, the 2-person increase. Yeah. That's
You have 12. Why not go to 13? We love 13. That's fine.
Can't fit it. Architects, fire code, building code, fire marshals. I've talked to them all. Yeah.
Oh, so you've already done some of this due diligence.
Oh, I'm like 30 grand deep into doing this in Salem. Yeah, I've already paid your architects and like.
You'll make it back.
Maybe.
Well, let's see where we go with this. That's what I wanted to let the room know is that we have a community here. We have a lot of residents here. I think it's better to prove to them first. I know that's a big risk, but we all take risks. It's life.
Sure. Am I able to go backwards to some, because a lot of things that have been addressed are either incorrect information, and I would just like to set it straight before it goes to a vote, because this is pretty much make or break for me here today.
Yes, if Councillor Smith is amenable to him answering further questions you had.
I think I just
wanted to request some clarity.
That would limit the time.
Just as a point of order, I think what Councilor Merkel or what President Merkel is saying is that we would address the questions of the councilors here, but we're not going back and addressing comments made by the public.
Cool.
Yes, so it would be to address councilors' questions.
Well, I just took notes during that. All the
Do the councilors want to ask for clarity? Councilor Flynn?
Thank you, President Merkel. I also had one question before we move forward, if you want me to ask now or wait.
Now is fine, thank you.
Thank you, President. One other thing I had listening to the resident, you didn't have in the letter to them about the first 90-day period being open to 1, but on here it is. So is this incorrect or was her letter incorrect?
Letter correct, that incorrect. What I was actually proposing is the same thing, the 90-day. So essentially open till midnight for Sunday to Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday open to 1 for a 90-day period. And then basically, if you're not happy, bring me back down to whatever we decide here.
So just to be clear, the first 90 days, if this will move forward, what time would you want to close the first 90 days?
So Sunday to Wednesday until midnight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday until 1 a.m. would be my closing time. Opening time will probably be 10 a.m. to be honest. The 8 a.m., again, I'm asking for a broader scope. If we see an abundance of opportunity, let's take it. If people want to come in at 6 in the morning, which would blow my mind, but if they want to, sure. So I'm asking for a larger scope, not necessarily saying that I'm going to like pack out every single, a group of tour can go up to 10, but it could be 2. So just to clarify, yeah, that is correct with the 90-day contingency.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. I have a question. In 2 minutes, can you let us know what you want to clear up?
Sure. Yeah, I'll rip down this line really fast. Here we go. There will be no queuing outside. Everyone's going to be time ticketing, so you won't have it a line like you have with Blackcraft Cult. Referencing to Annabelle and other events, those weren't my events. I wasn't in Illinois. That's not there. I've seen the Warrens get referenced. I'm not the Warrens. I'm actually agnostic. I don't have any strong beliefs in anything. I'm offering off-duty police officers if they happen to be available to the town. If not, I'll do private security. I'm hearing about enormous disruptions. It's literally 8 to 10 people at night, leaving at midnight, 12:20, 12:40, and 1 a.m. You can hear the music from Gula Gula outside. I heard there's people per hour. What other businesses do that? The Wax Museum, Count Orlok's, Pirate Museum, probably all the stores, probably all the restaurants, and probably all the bars have significantly more than 72 people per hour throughput. So I'm probably minimally less. I'm seeing information about Annabelle, and it's meant to be this. No one knows what my business is going to be. It is not meant to frighten people. It is meant to educate people. I've been trying to be super clear about that. I see people saying we should have more non-drinking activities, but not not this one, within city rules, but there's bars open to 1 a.m. As mentioned, I could go and get a liquor license and never serve alcohol and technically be allowed to be open to 1 a.m., but I don't want to serve alcohol. I just don't want to do that, but I could. Porta potties, I only brought that up because I heard that restrooms are like a major issue in Salem, and we have a parking lot. Why not offer a solution? We can do trash. Peak season tourism, I'm not trying to bring more people here to peak season. I'm trying to do the opposite. I know we don't need more people here peak season. I've been here in October on Halloween. It's brutal. I'm trying to just be here and then obviously get more people here year round. I've heard mentions of the museums and how amazing they are. I also am a big proponent of learning. I've also been in museums all over the world. And with that, unfortunately, a lot of the collections I'm purchasing are from museums that are closing down because they don't know how to operate, because they're not willing to adjust, and they're sticking to this 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. thing. There's probably a lot more here, but the hours we talked about, and yeah, I'm sure I can clear up anything else.
Thanks. That was 2 minutes. Wow.
Used to do stand-up.
Any other questions? Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Really quick, I did listen to Councilor Smith. I liked his idea, and my bottom line question, and it's very simple. Can you make it work by closing at 10 o'clock at night?
No.
Thank you.
Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I think I'm sort of thinking out loud here a little bit about the difference between, I think, the proposal, the potentially future proposal of the Ward 2 councilor and the potential future proposal that I put together. And I think the biggest difference in my mind is that there's, in my understanding, as starting a business is significant financial risk. And I think setting the business up for success at the start is more likely to have them be successful. And if the goal of the end result is still to make sure that the residents are not being disturbed by this, and the end result is that we get a business that's able to function, I would prefer to set the business up for success and have the opportunity to prove that they're able to keep the residents happy, rather than try to force a business to say, try to make it work in a situation that you don't think is viable. And then maybe we'll talk about making it viable. I don't think that's a real option, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. I just want to reiterate what Councilor Hapworth said, because it made a lot of sense that this city has a lot of businesses, and they offer a lot less, and they have a lot less hours, and they turn a healthy profit that we wish we could capture more of here in this city for the residents. So it does feel like this business model is not taking into account that, and I understand there are museums closing, but I think we are already offering very generous options by, we'll see what ends up happening, but by even expanding at all, because again, a lot of museums close at 5 or 6 and they have no issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Smith?
I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing? It is so voted. Councilor Smith.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the increase in hours, remaining the weekdays 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., increasing the hours until 12 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, with a public hearing scheduled for September 10th to revisit said hours.
Okay. Councilor Smith has motioned to grant an opening hours until 10 p.m. on weeknights, and then midnight on Saturday and Sunday, with the intention. Friday and Saturday. Thank you. On Friday and Saturday, with the intention of having another hearing in September. Am I getting that correct? Thank you. Under discussion, Councilor Hapworth.
Just a point of order, just to ensure that we get the language right. Is this provisional? Is this temporary? I don't know if Madam City Clerk, if you can remember, Councilor Prosnewski, maybe. Yeah. So what are we granting? Are we granting a temporary extension? Is that what it would be called? Okay.
Thank you.
I know we've done this for, I think it was McDonald's a couple years ago. I just want to make sure that we're phrasing this correctly for what we're granting or what we might grant.
Thank you. And first meeting in September. Okay, for a point of clarity, the motion would be on a temporary trial, to extend the hours of operation for the Warren Museum to 10 p.m. on weeknights and midnight on Friday and Saturday nights. And then with the intention of scheduling another hearing on September 10th in council.
I think we can get that clarity afterwards, but I think that what we're granting right now is a trial and to revisit.
To revisit on September 10th. Yes. Okay. Another point of clarity. The motion is to temporarily extend the hours for the Warren Museum on a trial basis to 10 p.m. on weeknights and midnight on Friday and Saturday, with the intention of revisiting this on September 10th. Under discussion. Councilor Prosnewski.
Seeing that Councilor Smith is representing his constituents over here, and I think it's in fairness that we do this off-season, I will vote in favor of Councilor Smith's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. Just to clarify, Sunday, I believe, was left out of that. Is that Sunday is included in the weekdays? Is that correct?
That's correct. It's 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Sunday through 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday. These are at night. 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. beginning Friday and Saturday and ending at 12 a.m. on Sunday.
Thank you. I appreciate the point of clarity. So it would be the hours, extended hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 6 a.m. to midnight on Friday and Saturday. Councilor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I just wanted to, I understand that the applicant is asking for extended hours so they potentially can capitalize on the busy season of October. If we are able to meet in September and agree that this has been satisfactory, could this potentially be extended hours put into effect immediately after that meeting? Like, what's the latency time on that?
Yes, we'd have to vote on it, but yes, there is a possibility of that. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. Okay. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. I just wanted to clarify, this is not a promise that future hours would be granted. I just think we should all be very clear about that this is, the ward councilor has asked for a temporary granting of some extended hours here, but I think for many of us, it would be a high hill to climb to still get to those extended hours in the future. So I don't want to create a false hope or have people invest in a business with the understanding that this is going to be granted in the future, because I don't know that that is a guarantee.
Thank you. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. I just want to clarify, this is not a promise that future hours would be granted. I think we should all be very clear about that this is, the ward councilor has asked for a temporary granting of some extended hours here, but I think for many of us, it would be a high hill to climb to still get to those extended hours in the future. So I don't want to create a false hope or have people invest in a business with the understanding that this is, again, a guarantee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. On Councillor Smith's motion to grant the temporary trial. Oh, sorry, Councillor Varela.
Sorry, Councilor Halper Varela. Sorry.
Yes,
okay.
Councilor Varela.
Recognizing me. Thank you. All right. Thank you, President Merkel. I'd like to make a motion, the Hanwar Museum, 259 Essex Street, to operate 7 days per week, year-round, to be subject to a 90-day trial period for the approved hours. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Sunday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. 90-day trial will commence upon certificate of occupancy. I'm sorry, a.m. Apologies, 12 a.m. 90-day trial period will commence on certificate of occupancy issued by the City of Salem. Applicant will be required to submit a request to the City Clerk's office and discuss a 90-day trial period before moving forward with the regular approved hours per petition. Applicant will work with the clerk on the dates to schedule an update at the regular council meeting. The reason I want to put this to the certificate of occupancy is I want them to make sure that they're open when they have that certificate, then that's when the 90-day starts. I know delays happen, and I want you guys to give you the full opportunity.
Under discussion, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. I'm just trying to seek clarity. So I believe we have a motion on the floor from Councilor Smith. Is that correct? Is this an amendment to Councilor Smith's motion? Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, on Councilor Varela's motion for amendment, please repeat the condition of the amendment.
Thank you, President Merkel. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Friday, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday, 8 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay. Seconded by Councilor Davis. Any further discussion? Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. It would be unusual for a ward councilor not in the ward affected to make an amendment to a motion made by the ward councilor of the affected ward. So I would like to hear from Councilor Smith on this one before voting.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. I think we all have a vested interest in the community here, and I think that I represent certain constituents that are right there, but there are other constituents that live in the city that may have different opinions and might not like that there are immediate, people that are right next to something that don't want it. For example, somebody that might live next to the wind terminal may not want that in Ward 1, and yet the rest of us see the benefit of having that for the whole city. And so I don't mind that somebody's weighing in on another ward. I really don't. I understand that can be a concern, but I appreciate that. I appreciate the amendment. I'm probably not going to vote for it, but I appreciate at least it being put out there.
Thank you. Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I too will not be voting for the amendment because it changes what Councilor Smith already put forward. And my opinion is that the 10 o'clock closing at night during the week is acceptable. I even gave it a little leeway for the weekends to see how it works and how the residents feel out. But I'm with Councilor Smith on this to leave it like it is, and I will not be voting for the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Halapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is effectively the motion I was referring to. I see the point of having multiple liquored establishments within 100 feet of this location that are able to be open late, and I see the notion that it doesn't make sense for us to say that's okay and this is not okay. I appreciate the point about the 90-day trial. I will be voting for this amendment.
Thank you. Councilor King.
Thank you, President Merkel. I will not be voting for this amendment. I think that the hours proposed by Councilor Smith were a good compromise between the needs of the business and the requests of the neighborhood, and I would like to stay at that compromise. I do have a point of clarification. the Ward 7 councilor mentioned the certificate of occupancy and the date starting at that point. I think that's a fair thing that I don't know how to do that process of amending possibly the initial motion. Maybe we wait until this is done, but I do think that piece of it did make sense.
Thank you. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. I can answer that. I think what we would be doing is basically putting it on the agenda for the next meeting. We would then not take it up if they weren't open. And we would take it up when it would be pertinent, September 24th, any second and fourth Thursday in calendar year that we can. And I hope they do open and they do come. I will say that. But I also want it to be within what residents can stomach.
Thank you. Okay, point of clarity again, Councilor Varela, the change of hours was Monday to amend was Monday to Thursday, which was, let's give that.
Monday, apologies. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., Friday, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., Sunday, 8 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay, thank you. And did you motion for a certain amount of time from the certificate of occupancy?
Yes, 90 days.
Okay, thank you. On Councilor Varela's motion to amend.
I request a roll call vote.
Thank you.
I think we need 3 votes to do that.
We would need 3 hands. Okay. Thank you. On Councilor Varela's motion to amend Councilor Smith's original motion to extend the hours Monday through Thursday to stay open until midnight, Friday and Saturday till 1 a.m., Sunday also midnight, with this temporary trial period to extend the hours of 90 days, starting at the beginning of the certificate of occupancy, seconded by Councilor Davis. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
No.
Councilor Hapworth?
No.
Councilor Halapa?
Yes.
Councilor King?
No.
Councilor Prasnewski?
No.
Councilor Smith?
No.
Councilor Sidoriak?
No.
Councilor Turowski?
No.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
And Councilor Merkel?
No. Thank you all. We have 11 members voting. We have 3 in the affirmative, 8 in the negative. The matter does not carry. On Councilor Smith's motion to temporarily offer an extension of hours on a trial basis for the Warren Museum to stay open till 10 p.m. on weeknights. Midnight on weeknights would be Sunday through Thursday, and midnight on Friday and Saturday. Councilor Smith, had you wanted to amend for it to be a certain period after certificate of occupancy?
No, it would just be to schedule. It would just be to.
Okay.
No,
It is still the original motion.
Still the original motion. We would just.
To schedule this be on a trial basis until the first council meeting on September, where the matter would be taken up again. Okay. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. To be honest with you guys, I find that a little wildly unfair. For who has been through permitting in the city, there's a lot of unknowns. And to put that from today to be scheduled for that, it's just not fair to the applicant. He is going to have some hurdles opening up and getting it permitted by the city. It would be fair to give him the full 90 days upon the certificate of occupancy, to give him the full opportunity. I think that's what's fair, because the notion that he'll be open in possibly the next couple of weeks or a couple of months? We don't know that. We do not know that. So upon certificate of occupancy is a very reasonable request. Thank you.
Councillor King.
Point of clarification. My understanding from the phrasing with the first meeting in September being the time that we meet, I mean, if they open in August, that might just be 30 days. And then we would still be having that conversation in September so that they can prove in whatever time period that they are open that they are ready to go and doing whatever the neighborhood wants before the peak October season. So to me, I came to this conclusion while we were having this conversation. It sounds like actually, if they were to get going this week, it gives them more time before we meet. But if they were to get going later on, it would actually mean that they are guaranteed to get a meeting with us in time before October hits. So I actually feel like in that way it is more generous to the applicant than just saying 90 days, because if that 90 days starts too close to October, they may end up in a scenario where they're not in front of us until like mid or late October or November. And then, am I understanding that correctly, folks? Thanks.
Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I think if the goal of this period is to give the applicant the opportunity to assess if this is financially feasible, I think it does make sense to make sure that they actually have time to be able to do that. Right? What we don't want is to have 2 days before our meeting for them to say they finally got a chance to open because they saw unforeseen things, and we're not able to have a discussion to I think what the intent of this is. And so I just want to make sure that what we're saying here, that the rule that we're creating is in line with what I understand the intent to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. The intent is that these folks would open in early August and because we don't meet in August, have the absolute first chance after all of these residents notice maybe there is absolutely no noise after 10 p.m. and yet they're operating, for us to say this is a business that is doing right by the neighborhood, they're going unnoticed, and we could extend those hours. It is not a promise. I will reiterate what Councilor Hapworth said. It is not a promise of potential extension of hours, but it is that if the neighborhood sees that this is not a nuisance, that it would have a chance to extend the hours. And I missed something earlier that I do want to add, is that sometimes we say no to things in this city, and residents say no to things, and what comes in is a lot worse. It's the devil we know that is in front of us. We know what this is, but if we can see it and feel it and experience it for whatever period, the shortest period of time, to understand that it is not causing a nuisance, I think residents and this council alike will feel more comfortable extending those hours. Again, that is not a promise, but it is a guarantee that we will at least talk about it at the earliest convenience. If they don't open till past October, we would simply on that September meeting say we have nothing to discuss and postpone that or send it to committee until we're ready to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. On Councilor Smith's motion to grant. Sorry, Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, President Merkel. So on that, I know that in September, if they didn't have a chance to start early, we could postpone the meeting to check in with them, but their operating hours would cease. Yep. So, as I think it's written.
No, the operating hours are granted until 12 a.m., not pending a 30-day, not a trial. I never used the word trial. And if I did, I apologize. I have to look back at the video later. What I meant that is we are granting those hours. We are giving that extension in perpetuity forever. I mean, we can always take it back, I suppose. That is within our right. We did check with the solicitor, but we are granting those at least without them having to come before us and re-ask for them. Was that not clear? Okay. Okay. The motion is that the operating hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 6 a.m. till 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And this body will schedule a hearing for September 10th to discuss those hours. Not to rescind them, not to add them. That's just the hours.
So a point of clarity, these hours would be, this extension would be in effect until
it's just an extension of hours, as if we said yes to this proposal tonight. It's just amending the hours.
Okay, so
There's
this
no
would be a
trial period.
permanent amendment
Be a permanent.
of the hours.
Because again, we can always revisit hours, is my understanding, per the city solicitor.
Okay, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. I guess in this situation, if it's not a temporary extension of these hours, if this is intended to be permanent, then there's no reason to set any date in the future. The applicant could come back at any time that they want to. They should be in contact with Councilor Smith, and Councilor Smith can put it on the agenda when he feels it appropriate. I think that's probably the best way to tackle this. Is that, am I understanding the motion correctly, that this is intended to be a permanent extension of the hours until 1, not... I'm sorry, till 12. I'm sorry.
Till 12.
Till 12, and then they can, working through Councilor Smith, they could potentially come back and he could put it back on the agenda. So it's adopted as amended.
Yes, so it is not a trial basis, Councilor Smith, that you are proposing?
If people were seconding the amendment with the trial basis, then we have to put that back in, because I'd have to restate the motion, because it sounds like there is some confusion. I'm happy to put this under discussion to see if people feel we need a trial. Yeah.
Councilor Hapworth.
You just have to be clear about what your motion is before we vote on it. That's all. So just be clear about what motion is being made here. And then once we all have clarity what that is, then we can have a vote.
Okay. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So the reason for the 90 days is if we're truly concerned about the well-being of the residents, especially in Barton Square, this ensures that they come back to us and they have an obligation to address us. So it would be more protective of the residents to have that 90-day trial. But if that's not the will, I understand.
Thank you. Councilor Smith.
Yeah, so, okay, restate the amendment. Operating hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday, operating hours of 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. on Friday and Saturday for 90 days, following the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. The applicant can come back to us if they wish for an extension, but it does not need to be part of the motion. And I said amendment and I meant motion. Oh, boy.
Okay. Great. So on Councilor Smith's motion to grant extended hours to the Warren Museum, which would be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, and 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. on Friday and Saturdays, being a 90-day trial that starts following the certificate of occupancy. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries.
Can you make a motion for a brief recess while people like second?
Those in favor of a brief recess? Thank you. Further hearings? Yes. We are resuming, am I on page 4? Is mine on?
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
Somebody's not on.
Okay.
We are resuming on page 4, further hearings.
We have an order from National Grid to install conduits at the intersection of Lafayette Street and Savoy Road for the service at 354 Lafayette Street.
Is there anyone appearing in favor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Sabita Mahaber Sheehy, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This is to provide a new service to the plant at Salem State.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor? Online? No. Is there anyone appearing in opposition? Seeing none, do any of the councilors have any questions or comments? No. Councilor Varela?
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that we close the public hearing.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing? It is so voted. Councilor Varela?
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that this be granted.
Councilor Varela moves that this be granted. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion. Sorry, Sabita, for being here so long.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, thank you for being here. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion on the matter of National Grid installing conduits on Lafayette Street and Savoy Road, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further hearings?
We have an order from National Grid and Verizon to install one jointly owned pole at the intersection of Lafayette Street and Fairview Road.
Is there anyone appearing in favor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Sabita Mahaber Shihi, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This is an inline pole to support the underground siphon for the plant at Salem State.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor? In person on Zoom? No. Is there anyone appearing in opposition, in person or on Zoom? Okay. Mr. Laffey, would you like to unmute yourself to speak, and please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, hi, Phil Laffey, 143 Ford Avenue. I'm not necessarily opposed to this particular pole. However, National Grid has been doing a lot of pole work in the Willows neighborhood. They've been very sloppy about how they do it. For example, there's two real issues that I'd like to make sure the City Council holds National Grid's feet to the fire a little bit. Number one, when they are doing this work, we get door knocks with just a couple minutes notice of them shutting off our power. I believe that they should at least give 24 hours notice of any power outage for any household for any period of time, whether it's 1 hour or 5 hours. I don't think much matters. People work from home. We have to rely on internet that requires electricity. If there's a planned outage like this, they should have better project management, that they should be able to schedule this better, and they're not. The second point is they're pretty sloppy when they're doing the work.
Point of order. I'm sorry. This is a hearing about this specific item right here. Thank you.
Sure. So I want to make sure that when they're installing this pole, that they...
Point of order. Point of order. This is an agenda item about National Grid and the intersection of Lafayette and Fairview.
Correct. So installing this pole. So I want to make sure that the city is holding the National Grid's feet to the fire when they're installing this pole in question on this hearing, that they cure the area after the work is done, and that they give proper notice for any electricity outage for any households or businesses while the work's being done. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in opposition, in person or on Zoom? No. Seeing none, do any of the councilors have questions or comments? Seeing none, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move to close the public hearing.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing? It is so voted. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move this be granted.
Councilor Varela moves that this be granted. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion on the matter of National Grid installing a pole at Lafayette Street and Fairview Road, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further hearings.
We have an order from National Grid and Verizon to relocate one jointly owned pole on Cross Avenue.
Is there anyone appearing in favor?
Sabita Mahaber Shihi, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This one will be tabled for now until the next meeting in April, so that we can meet with the ward councilor, the city engineer, and the neighbors.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Tarowski? Yes.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move to close the hearing.
Councilor Tarowski moves.
Anybody in opposition?
What? No, you want to continue the hearing.
Yes.
Is anyone else in here to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Okay, Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move to leave the hearing open until the next meeting on April 9th.
Thank you. On Councilor Tarowski's motion to continue the public hearing to April 9th, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Lisa Lavoy to the Beautification Committee with a term to expire June 8th, 2028.
Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Tarowski moves that this appointment be confirmed by roll call vote. On a discussion, Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is to appoint Dr. Lisa Lavoy to the Beautification Committee. Dr. Lavoy has a strong service history with the city. She has served as the board member and clerk of the Osgood Park Neighborhood Association, and previously served as a board member, clerk, and president of the Salem Education Foundation. She was also an appointed member of the Salem School Committee from 2012 to 2014. So I really appreciate her commitment so far to the city. I think she's going to be an excellent addition to the Beautification Committee. I wanted to thank her for volunteering and wish her best of luck.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Tarowski's motion to confirm the appointment of Lisa Lavoy to the Beautification Committee, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Halapa?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Councilor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Councilor Tarowski?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
And Councilor Merkel.
Yes. We have 11 members voting. We have an 11 in the affirmative, and none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Tarowski moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, would Ms. Lavoy like to come up and speak?
Hi, everybody. That was a little bit longer than I was sitting than I thought. Informative, super informative. I would just like to say thank you for appointing me to this position. I really look forward to it. I love how our city looks. I love the plantings. And even though it probably entails pulling weeds and picking up cigarette butts, I look forward to continuing that, to make Salem a great place to look at as well as live in. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's reappointments of the following with terms to expire: Mary Ellen Holloway, Sarah Moore, and VJ Joyce.
Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Counselor Trowski moves for reappointment, confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion, Counselor Trowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Just wanted to say thank you for all of these reappointments, for volunteering their time. Really important to the city, and we're happy to have them back.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Tarowski's motion for confirmation by roll call vote, the reappointments of Mary Ellen Hallowell to the Beautification Committee, Sarah Moore to the Board of Health, and VJ Joyce to the Historical Commission. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Davis?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Halapa?
Yes.
Counselor King?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Counselor Tarowski?
Yes.
Counselor Varela?
Yes.
And Counselor Merkel?
Yes. We have 11 members voting. We have 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Katarina Thompson to the Food Policy Council with a term to expire March 26, 2029.
Counselor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that this be held under the rules.
Counselor Tarowski moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
With the mayor's reappointment of the following with their terms: Kevin Jordan to the Bicycle and Shared Path Advisory Committee, March 26, 2029, and Krista Masick on Council on Aging Board for March 26, 2029.
Counselor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that these be held under the rules.
Counselor Tarowski moves that these be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the sum of $60,000 is hereby appropriate within the capital outlay account for the installation of an under drain to complete the Mansell Field remediation and restoration project.
Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for suspension of the rules.
Counselor Davis moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you. So this appropriation of $60,000 for short-term capital to complete the final phase of the Mansell Field remediation restoration project. Following excavation, the project soil scientists advise installation of an underdrain system to optimize field drainage after completion. The proposed funding will enable that system to be installed before the final phases of the project are carried out. The under drain will mitigate future ponding of water on the finished field, extending its usability for the community. So we had already appropriated a lot of money towards this, and this will kind of get them fill in that gap of what they need left.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Flynn.
Thank you, President Merkel. This has been an ongoing issue for the neighbors for at least 5 or 6 years. And it was an issue when they were doing Lower Gallows Hill over, doing soil tests. They had issues with this part of Mansell Park. So this, like I said, right around 2020, it's been roped off with fencing. It's been overgrown. And the drainage issue is really, really bad. I've been following this for a while. It actually looks like a pond is in the middle of there. So talking with planning, this is severely needed. We don't want to build this new field and then all of a sudden it's going to be filled with mud and tear up the grass and everything like that. So this is really needed. I would appreciate everyone's support. I apologize to the neighbors. They've been really patient with this, looking at an eyesore for many, many years. I really hope this can be finished by mid-spring and get this back in use for the whole city, not just Ward 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Davis's motion to approve the appropriation of $60,000 for an under drain to complete the Mansell Field remediation. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We've an order per Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, which allows for municipalities to pay for prior fiscal year invoices using current fiscal year appropriations by a 2/3 vote. We have an amount of $78.75 from the engineering department.
Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Davis moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. So yes, this is for outstanding fiscal year 2025 invoices to be paid from the fiscal year 2026, which is why we need the supermajority. The order is necessary to pay for an invoice from Mass Bay Transportation Authority. Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Davis's motion for adoption by roll call vote, 2/3 needed to pay Mass Bay Transportation Authority in the amount of $78.75. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Davis?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Halapa?
Yes.
Counselor King?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Counselor Torowski? Yes. Counselor Varela?
Yes.
And Counselor Merkel?
Yes. We have 11 members voting. We have 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. Ordered that the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and the Environment, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, meet to discuss the camping ordinance, to review the policy, and get updates from our police department. And I move for adoption.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this was something we discussed, kind of having an annual review of the ordinance. It wasn't necessary to submit this last year because we had amendments submitted by our mayor, so we got plenty of opportunity to discuss. But yeah, this is intended as kind of an informational meeting to hear from our police, the CIU, LifeBridge, about how the ordinance is going, and looking forward to it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Davis's motion that the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, meet to discuss the camping ordinance. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. Resolution recognizing...
reading.
I object. I'd like to read it. Thank you. Resolution recognizing March 2026 as National Kidney Month. Whereas chronic kidney disease, CKD, is a serious and often under-recognized public health condition characterized by gradual loss of kidney function, which impairs the body's ability to remove waste and maintain fluid balance. And whereas CKD is closely linked to cardiovascular kidney metabolic CKM syndrome, a set of interconnected conditions affecting heart health, kidney function, and metabolic processes such as diabetes and hypertension. And whereas CKD affects more than 1 in 7 adults in the United States and thousands of residents across Massachusetts, many of whom remain unaware they have the disease until its later stages. And whereas early detection, routine kidney function testing, and management of risk factors such as high blood pressure and diabetes can slow disease progression and prevent kidney failure. And whereas chronic kidney disease disproportionately affects Black, Latino, Indigenous, and other communities of color due to longstanding inequities in access to health care, preventative services, and other social determinants of health. And whereas kidney failure often requires dialysis or transplantation, and thousands of residents in Massachusetts and the New England region are on waiting lists for life-saving kidney transplants. And whereas kidney transplantation is a critical treatment option, and increased awareness of organ donation can save lives, with organizations such as New England Donor Services and the National Kidney Foundation serving New England, providing education support. And whereas residents of Salem have access to regional health care providers, public health agencies, and nonprofit organizations offering kidney disease screening, treatment, and patient support services, including dialysis centers serving the North Shore. And whereas the City of Salem values the health and well-being of its residents, including workers, families, and small business owners impacted by kidney disease. And whereas March is nationally recognized as Kidney Month to promote awareness, encourage early detection, and highlight preventative measures, and March 12, 2026 is recognized as Kidney Day. Now therefore be it resolved that the Salem City Council hereby recognizes March 2026 as National Kidney Month in the city of Salem, and be it further resolved that the Salem City Council encourages residents to learn about kidney health, seek regular screenings, manage risk factors, consider becoming organ donors, and support community and public health efforts to address kidney disease, and be it further resolved that the city encourages collaboration with local healthcare providers, community organizations, and advocacy groups to expand education, prevention, and patient support services. And I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councillor Davis moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this was brought forward by a resident. A very similar resolution was passed recently at the State House, and I thought it would be great to recognize here as well. We do have members here in the Salem, here in our community that are suffering from kidney-related health issues and diseases. And we also have business owners, as well as some folks might know, suffering from the same. And unfortunately, one location at least had to close. So I thought this is important to bring in. And I also want to share some more information. If folks are interested in making sure that they have their health when it comes to this, the best place to go is your doctor. The National Kidney Foundation, as was listed, is a really great place for resources. You can get more information about becoming a donor, more information about health impacts, and it's just a really great resource. And then the National Kidney Registry is a really great place if you have any interest in becoming a donor. One really interesting thing that they do with that's a really great program is something called paired matching, where even if there is someone that you want to donate your kidney to someone, it's okay if you're not a match for them, because you can still be a donor that will go to someone, and then the person that you the loved one that you care about will then go to the top of the waiting list, which is a really fantastic program. So wanted to share some of that information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor King.
Thank you, President Merkel. I'll just make a quick comment. I wanted to thank Councillor Davis for bringing this in, and the community member who came up with this. Chronic illnesses are an incredible burden to the people who deal with them in our community, and this is one of the most common ones in the United States. Seniors, for example, the average senior has over 5 chronic illnesses, and it just gets higher with age, but this applies to people with all ages. Chronic illnesses obviously are a huge burden to the individual who deals with them, but also to the caretakers around them, and it is a massive financial burden because of the way our insurance industry works. And there's many predatory companies out there that take advantage of these people. So I'm so happy we're talking about it, the specific chronic illness. And I think it's just a generally good conversation for us to be having on an ongoing basis in Salem.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I just want to give my support and to Mike Dink. He is the chef and owner of Au Gratin here in Salem. He was diagnosed with kidney disease, and it's been a burden on him and his family. And just wanted to regard my sympathies, and I appreciate all of you done, Mike, for our community.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councillor Davis's motion for adoption by roll call vote, a resolution recognizing March as National Kidney Month. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councillor Davis?
Yes.
Councillor Flynn?
Yes.
Councillor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councillor Halapa?
Yes.
Councillor King?
Yes.
Councillor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councillor Smith?
Yes.
Councillor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Councillor Torowski?
Yes.
Councillor Varela?
Yes.
And Councillor Merkel?
Yes. We have 11 members voting. We have 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councillor Torowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Ordered that the parking rate for the locations identified below shall be $7.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. And I move that this be adopted. There's one that is increasing parking rate for the locations below to $7 per hour. The second order is to increase the parking rate for locations below to $5 per hour. This is, and then the last one is to set the parking rate at $1 per hour. These are temporary. These are for October only, and residents may park for free during these times if they use the Passport parking app to prove residency. And I move that this be adopted.
On Councillor Tarowski's motion for adoption, under discussion, Councillor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Transportation Commission had a busy meeting back in January on the 21st and discussed a lot of these changes. I think all of us were at an admin finance meeting co-posted that night talking about the school levy. So this is something that got support from the residents. Parking, just to remind everybody, is one of those few things that we don't have a ceiling on what we can charge out-of-town visitors. It's one of our few opportunities to recoup revenue from visitors during the month of October especially. So this is something that we can do to help bring in some money back in October.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor King.
I support, in general, raising these rates for the revenue to the city, and I also partially follow the Ward 1 and Ward 2 councilors on this, as they are the closest to downtown. But I will mention, I really think that, in general, we need to be doing much better advertising and explaining to residents how to make themselves be set as a resident in the Passport parking app. Because I know many residents have no idea that that is even an option. And so they are not getting the free rate for residents. They are paying the tourist rate for, I myself included. I've never figured it out how to do it. And my cars are registered in Salem. I don't know why it's not working in the app. Maybe that's just me, but I've heard that from a lot of people. As you know, speaking with constituents representing Ward 5, a lot of my constituents are just far enough that they do want to be able to drive into downtown and park in these spots that really should be free for them, but they cannot figure out the app. So. Something to maybe just discuss in general and at a future meeting, but because it's related, we really need to have better education on the Passport parking app.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, President. I wanted to say almost the same thing. I just want to read it for folks at home and for folks in the room and who still might be listening at home. You're going to hear a lot tonight of the free resident parking, and I don't think we do enough of advertising that. This is a huge benefit for residents that I think the city can tout more. This is for you. This is for us. If you pay your excise tax here, you put your plate into the app. It should connect. If it is not, take your plate out, delete it, and re-put it in. And then if it's still not, you can email parking@salem.com, and you will be added in as long as it matches the excise tax bill that you pay. This is a big savings for residents. I don't think people know about this, and you're going to hear it's going to be in every single one of these. We have pages and pages of free stuff for residents. I just want to make sure that people know that we are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Sidoriak.
I'm just curious, how did we land on these numbers? Do we know? I was looking through the background materials. I couldn't find anything.
The minutes from that meeting are a little bit more detailed, but it was basically proposed by the Transportation Commission. I think we've had similar increases to up to $7 per hour in the past, and I remember discussing that in meetings when I was on the Transportation Commission. So I think it was a number that was proposed, and then after feedback I think it was changed in one. The one at the end of the park, I believe, was changed after some resident feedback, but there was some comment provided at the meeting before these were settled on.
Thank you, President Merkel.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, President. I just to answer that, because I did watch the meeting. A lot of it has to do with that there are adjacent streets that are already at this, and the garage might be right there, or the MBTA garage. It's a price. You could also then just park across the street for a much cheaper rate. It's just putting everything a little bit more in line.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councillor Tarowski's motion to adopt the 3 orders relative to October parking fees, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councillor Varela.
Waive the reading. Thank you so much. All right, so what we have in front of us, and a motion would be adoption for first passage.
Okay, Councilor Varela moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is the temporary resident parking that is in front of us here. And I'll let my colleagues speak to this, but I feel like this is pretty reasonable. And this is something, obviously, that is... we have to, I feel that we should pass first passage on this to give our traffic and parking team enough ample time to prepare for the season.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor King?
Thank you. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I once again will most likely follow the lead of the downtown councilors because they are the most impacted by this, but I am going to once again mention education is a real issue on the topic of what used to be October-only parking and now be an extended parking time period. I know in my neighborhood in Ward 5, we have a number of streets that are not noticeably close to downtown that have October parking that would be impacted by this. And every year there is a real lack. I think the signs go up very last minute, and then we've got tons of cars getting towed. It's a renter-heavy neighborhood. There's just not a lot of communication about the fact that this neighborhood is affected by this policy, and the city could do a much better job of doing that. And extending this time period earlier into September is just going to worsen that. So I would really like to see this be paired with a public education campaign of some type. I probably will still be voting in favor of it because I know it really does matter for the neighborhoods to get impacted. But I do think it needs to be paired with public education and more public education in general about parking. We received some public comment tonight about the equity issues for seniors and for home care people and plumbers and things like that. And those are very real concerns that are worsened because these neighborhoods are neighborhoods that often have normal parking year round. And then God forbid they have a home nurse visit on September 16th and suddenly that home nurse is going to get towed, right? So just making sure that education is really, really clear and early, not only for our DPS workers and our parking enforcement people, but also for our residents as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Smith.
So this has a lot in it, and I would hope that we could adopt for first passage, but then also put it into committee and try to have a meeting before the next one. The reason I ask for that, I know we have a lot in committee, is because there's a piece here in section C that has to do with the garage parking for residents. That is still an issue that downtown residents have had to suffer through every single Halloween. They have requested to start that in September. Their requests were denied. They've asked to figure out how to maybe not have to park on the roof or to hold spaces in a different way. That has been denied. And instead, the only thing that's happened this year is 13 Hawthorne Boulevard was added to that. So I really can't vote for this, but I would love to vote for it if it would be able to go into committee for a brief discussion, hopefully brief, and just to also give the councilors who have streets in this list a chance to go over it, go through each and every one of them because it's a shorter timeline that we've had.
Point of order, is that an amendment?
Oh, I can amend the original motion. Thank you. You see, you got to lead me through this. I would like to amend the original motion that we adopt for first passage and refer to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay, for Councilor Smith's motion to amend the original motion to move this for adoption for first passage and also send it to the Committee of Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of the Whole, under discussion. Councilor Turowski.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification. Thank you, President Merkel. Just a point of clarification. One of the large reasons that this is backed up to September 15th was to accommodate the food truck festival, which is a significant draw to the common neighborhood especially. So I just wanted to point that out.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. That's fine, everybody. We'll have another meeting. No, we have a few other traffic and parking situations to discuss in committee, but just let everyone know I'm going to probably schedule that pretty quickly. So if you can make it, great. If you can't, that's your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. on Councilor Smith's motion to amend the original motion for adoption for first passage and also send it to the Committee of Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? The amendment carries. Now back to the original motion by Councilor Varela under continued discussion. Yep. No. Yep. No discussion. Okay. So on Councilor Varela's motion as amended for adoption for first passage.
Point of order. The matter has already been dealt with. The matter has been adopted for first passage and sent to committee in one motion.
In one motion. Okay. Thank you. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Martin. Ordered that the streets. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. So what we have here is the
Motion.
the motion will be moved adopted.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, President Merkel. So we have, as of last year, from September 15 to November 1st, these streets listed for permit parking only. The restaurant I have was across the street from this, and I have to say it was very effective. We want to make sure that residents have a little more space to actually park in equity. So I think this is fantastic for the residents, and I would be in support of this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion to adopt the designation of these streets as temporary resident permanent parking from September 15th to November 1st. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. In the year 2000, thank you. I would move for adoption for first passage. Also with the idea that we're going to have a committee meeting as well. Might as well. No, I can do it. If we're going to discuss, we can discuss this as well.
Okay.
We're going to do both. First passage, and a committee meeting.
So on Councilor Varela's motion for adoption for first passage and to send to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is an extension of our fines. Year to year, we always talk about it's cheaper to get a ticket than it is to get towed, so or get a fine from the city. So I would be in support of this, but I would like to give the opportunity for some discussion for this as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Councilor King?
I appreciate this going to committee. I don't think the language of this is correct in all cases because in spaces where it is a metered spot and the person is a person who does pay for resident sticker parking, like they pay for the resident permit, but for some reason they are not in the app as a resident, they are getting the tourist fee. They're not getting the fine. They're getting the higher fine, I think, basically. It's also just, or maybe it's the fine either way. Actually, no, okay, maybe I'm just confused in what this is saying then. So it's the same fine and the two different times are just for the times of year? Okay. Yeah.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I think another reason we should discuss this in committee, and we'll get out down to it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Councilor Varela's motion for adoption for first passage and also to send this to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. These ordinance amendments relative to fines for parking violations from September 15th to November 1st. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. So So this
motion.
I'm going to make a motion to move to the Committee of Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted to Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Councilor Trowski moves to refer this to the Committee of Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of Whole. Under discussion, Councilor Trowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. We did receive some feedback from employees at Pickering Wharf. I understand that this area is where a lot of those employees rely on for the park. So I think this would be a change that potentially impacts what our business employees need to do and how they need to get to work. There was no public comment offered at the meeting. What was offered, it was not given at the meeting in January. So just wanted to make sure that the occupants of those businesses and their employees have an opportunity to weigh in on this. I also wanted to extend an invitation to the property owner, the Rockets, to be present so that we can explore all of the options for parking in the area if they'd like to participate in that discussion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, President Merkel. I appreciate what the good Ward 1 councilor said. Talking to other people in the city, even though this is not my ward, but many people that visit, not just visit Pickering Wharf, but at work at Pickering Wharf. I've had my own children work down there. That's a regular spot for people down there. Many of them aren't residents, so they can't have that passport parking privilege. And, people are just trying to come in and make a fair wage. Like we said earlier today, I think it's hurting the workers, and I don't think it's beneficial to the businesses down there. I think we're going a little too far with this, and obviously it'd be talked about in committee, but I really think this area on Congress Street is a bad idea. I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Jalapa?
Thank you, President Merkel. I'll keep this quick because I know it's late. There is no such thing as free parking. Each of those spaces costs money to refurbish every 30 years or so. We have to street sweep. And what ends up happening is that if you're a resident of Salem, you pay your taxes, and that maintains our roads and parking. And if you've looked at the roads recently, they're not in great shape. That's true across the country, and it's because they cost an inordinate amount of money to maintain. Climate change is making it worse. Larger vehicles are making it worse. There's a ton of parking stuff that's on our docket. Every time we talk about building new housing, people talk about parking. Hell, if you go down to Riley Plaza at 5 p.m., the whole place is a mess. I'm not making a motion or anything, but I really feel strongly that the city needs to more cohesively think about our transportation system, think about our parking, and if we want to increase the amount of spaces or the amount of money that we're charging people, I feel very strongly that we should be evaluating how we can use that money to move people in a different way that doesn't involve cars, and try to actually make sure that we're giving residents something that's of service that they can use that they're actually paying for. And if folks want to have the luxury of driving around and have the convenience of it, that they are then paying their share for that, but there's an alternative that is reasonable for other folks that don't want that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Trowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I also did want to point out that there is generally underutilized privately owned parking in that area, and I was hoping that by encouraging the property owners to be present, that we could explore options for using that to benefit their business employees as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Tarowski's motion to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, the parking rates amendments for Congress Street. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. In the year 2020. Thank you. And I'm going to similarly move that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Co-posted?
Co-posted to the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Trowski moves to refer this to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion, Councilor Trowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is just a little bit more expansion of what was discussed. It's basically the ordinance that sets the zones that are denoted in the ordinance before this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Trotsky's motion to refer this to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, the parking zones established for Congress Street. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Smith.
Following three orders. Thank you. Motion, move that this be adopted.
Councilor Smith moves for adoption. Under discussion, Councilor Smith.
Yeah, so this is three different changes to parking rates in garages. It takes us more in line with what the private folks are charging. It also, two having to do with garages and one having to do with lots. It just brings the fees up. I will say I think we need to figure out better ways to bring money into the city other than parking. But this is what we have before us, and it does bring us in line with what people are charging at $40, $50 a day, and just $7 a day for these lots. But also residents can get it for free again. They can figure out how.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Smith's motion to adopt the proposed parking rates for October, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Smith.
For 2000.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. Notes. I move that this be adopted for first passage.
Councilor Smith moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion, Councilor Smith.
This is I need to figure out which one we're on. This is clarifying. This is cleaning up some language. So basically we have a bunch of language that says you pay at the kiosk and then you do such and such. This is just changing the word kiosk to parking app so that it's correct in the ordinance for what we now realistically have, which are an app and no more kiosks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Smith's motion for adoption for first passage, changes to the parking ordinance language to reflect the mobile parking application. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Are there any additional motions, orders, and resolutions? Councilor Presnewski.
Thank you. President Merkel, it's a late file. Ordered that the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, meet to discuss the current resident parking rules on how visitor parking passes are implemented. And with the blessing of Councilor Varela, we're putting this into OLA.
All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. You guys don't like me or something, huh? Just burying me. City of Salem and City Council, March 26, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, Licensing, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred said matter of granting of certain licenses, Seaworms. Donald McVeigh has considered said matter and would recommend it granted.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. Why did the seaworm cross the road? So Donald could get a license. It's funny, huh? Really funny.
Okay. On Councilor Varela's motion that this be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem and City Council, March 26, 2026. Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of discussing an ordinance relative to living wage, has considered said matter and would recommend that it remain in committee.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So we had a brief discussion about the living wage ordinance run in by Councilor Davis. We had a few departments heads, specifically Tara from the library, Bill McHugh from our harbor master, and Lisa Camerata to answer questions. We definitely need to have more discussion about this, and we need the sentiment of the mayor as well. I think that the crux of the conversation is that I think everyone believes we should be paying everyone a living wage, but we have to be mindful of the financial ramifications to our budget, especially when you have a $15 an hour employee going to 19. You have other employees that might be a little above that pay grade that are also going to, it'd only be germane and fair to also address their salary as well or their hourly pay. So for that reason, I'll remain in committee and we'll come back to this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Verrilla's motion that this remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. And City Council, City of Salem, City Council, March 26, 2026, Committee on Ordinances, Licensing, Legal Affairs, to whom was referred said matter of discussing a home rule petition for Kathleen Roachville regarding disability pension. Executive session, if necessary, has considered said matter and will recommend that the home rule petition be denied. And for the record, Councilor Prosnowski has recused himself from the matter.
Thank you. On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
On Councilor Varela's motion that this be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from city officials, none. Petitions?
We have a long list of public guides.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move these be granted.
Councilor Varela moves that these be granted. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
On Councilor Varela's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions?
And we have a long list of claims.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. Move to refer to the committee. Move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licensing, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Varela moves to this be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
For the record, Councilor Prosnowski has rejoined the meeting. On Councilor Varela's motion to refer this to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Unfinished business.
With the second passage of the following ordinance relative to immigration status.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption for second passage. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion for adoption for second passage and ordinance relative to immigration status, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Councilor Smith.
Thank you. A point of personal privilege. I know it's late. Thank you.
Proceed.
I just want to acknowledge, give a shout out to the Ladies Committee at Hamilton Hall, which has done their 80th lecture series this year, just concluding this week. Huge fundraiser that they do all of the time. They've done it for 80 years, and they had some great ones. And I also want to mention again the ongoing Salem 400, which you can find out about at salem.org/400. It is there's a bunch of different things on there as well, and plenty of it. Sorry, it's getting late. There's a lecture this weekend with historian Ben Shallop at the House of Seven Gables, and there's Chicken Nugget's birthday on April 8th. You can go and check out that. So there's a wide variety of events. So I just wanted to make sure that those things are still on people's minds. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is the first time I've done this. I just wanted to give a quick moment of personal privilege.
Proceed.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone for obviously celebrating Women's Month tomorrow at 8:30, Community Life Center. Just wanted to remind everybody to celebrate everyone who's there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, President Merkel. Also a point of personal privilege.
Proceed.
If we could just have a moment of silence former fellow firefighter, Lieutenant George Croto, recently passed away. We just had his services last Saturday. He was a great firefighter. I actually got to be stationed with him. He was a good leader, a good man, respected by all. So if we could just have just a moment of silence for Lieutenant Croto. Thank you.
Granted. Thank you. Councilor Halapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. Point of personal privilege.
Proceed.
Thank you. I'm just going to keep us here a moment longer. Tuesday is Trans Day of Visibility, and we're going to have an event here in the chambers. I think it is noon, and I'm pretty sure I said Tuesday, but it's late, and I'm going kind of loopy. Y'all have an email about it, and check that for the date and time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, President Merkel. We may need another public hearing because we just stayed open until 10 o'clock, past 10 o'clock again, but I move for adjournment.
Councilor Hopworth's motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? We are adjourned, and thank you, everyone.